ball of essentially protons, electrons, and radiation, light, evolved, coalesced under the force of gravity to form galaxies, planets that we see today. But beyond that, it is hard to see. The universe becomes ionized. It's a cloud which light cannot penetrate. So we can't see earlier than that, but we can theorize and actually try to detect other signals coming from earlier on. And we can push, we think, using our understanding of the basic forces of nature and the constituents of matter back to billions of a billion of a billion of a billion of a billion seconds after the Big Bang. But what is the Big Bang? Well, there everything breaks down. Our knowledge breaks down. We haven't explored such domains where the energy of particles is so high beyond anything we can achieve in present-day laboratories. And our theories themselves, especially Einstein's theory, breaks down completely. That is sort of the origin of the universe. How did the universe begin? Well, this is quite a question to be asking. Until recently, when I was a graduate student, for example, a question like this would get you into trouble if you were a respectable physicist. You couldn't get a paper published, really, in a good journal discussing your theory of the origin of the universe. That has changed completely. It's become the forefront of speculative theorists thinking about quantum gravity and string theory. That's a remarkable development. It's an example of the kind of question, like what is light? It used to be asked non-scientific. We didn't know enough to ask this question directly. Now we think we are beginning to know enough to ask this question directly, to imagine observational signals that will tell us something about the universe just after it began, and maybe develop a theory of the origin of the universe. It's wonderful to be alive at a point when that has happened, because it is the history of science that any time so far we've asked such questions in a scientific manner, they get answered. I might not be around to see the answer, but I have a very strong feeling that this question will be answered. One's help would be probes that go back really to the beginning. There are such ideas of using gravitational waves, which we're trying very hard to observe now, to probe way back to almost the beginning. But can we actually determine what it meant to begin, the initial conditions? Is there a theory at the beginning? We don't know, but we're beginning to develop such theories. Was there a time before the Big Bang? Part of the problem with imagining the beginning of time is what happened before time began. Well, maybe it didn't. Maybe the universe crunched down and then expanded again. Some people think it might be thicker. I actually think the answer is more subtle, and I'll maybe come back to that later. The second question has to do with what is the universe made out of. One of the most astounding discoveries of the last decade or two is that most of the stuff, most of the energy that fills the universe is not the stuff that we are made out of. We're made out of protons and quarks and electrons and light, radiation. But most of the energy in the universe is something that is popularly called dark energy. And most of the matter, most of the particles in the universe are not quarks and electrons, but something called dark matter. So what is the stuff that fills the universe? What is the nature of the dark matter and the dark energy? We have ideas, but we don't know. Dark matter is certainly there, but we've never seen it. So how do we know it's there? Well, we know it's there because we can feel it, or actually stars can feel it. So this is a picture that you're accustomed to of what our galaxy looks like. It's not a very good picture. It's an elliptical spiral galaxy. You've seen galaxies and stars, I'm sure. This is what you see. And until about 20 years ago, this is what what constitute the galaxy, the stars that you can see here that radiate light. But astronomers can determine by measuring the orbits of these stars around the center of the galaxy that there has to be a lot more matter to hold those stars in their orbits. In fact, their picture of what the galaxy looks like is this, where the blue is something they call dark matter. And by now, it seems that that dark matter is surely a very heavy kind of particle that interacts very weakly with ordinary matter, doesn't radiate light, so we can't observe it directly, but it's what actually holds the stars in the Milky Way in place. 90% of the matter in our galaxy and in other galaxies is this dark matter. This is a picture of a cluster of millions of galaxies held together by this blue stuff, which is most of the matter in the cluster. Overwhelming evidence and for this existence of this dark matter, but we haven't yet seen it. We don't know what it is. Elementary particle physicists have many ideas. Some of them are very attractive. I think they're probably right, but we don't have proof. What about observationally? There are millions of dark matter particles passing through you at this very moment, and you don't feel them. That's the problem. They don't interact strongly with the stuff that we are made of. But people are trying to detect them. Every once in a while, one of these dark matter particles is going to bounce off the nucleus of an atom in you and disturb it a bit, and experimenters have been trying and are currently trying to detect the dark matter wind flowing through a laboratory. Another technique which we're working on is to produce that dark matter directly in the laboratory. With enough energy, you can create anything. And we have a new accelerator that is turning on at CERN in Geneva this year, the Large Hadron Collider, which many of us think will produce the dark matter in the laboratory. So we'll finally know what makes up most of the matter in the universe. What about this dark energy? Well, here we have a default explanation that Einstein knew about, called the cosmological constant. Well, by the way, how do we know there's dark energy? Well, people have, since Hubble, almost 100 years ago, know that the universe is expanding, stretching at a constant rate. But recently, there's accumulating evidence that that expansion is accelerating, getting faster and faster. And what makes that accelerate, what stretches the fabric of space itself, is energy. That was already known to Einstein, who introduced the cosmological constant, a term, part of an extension of his equations, a very natural extension, so natural that there's no reason to expect that it's not there. And that's probably what the dark energy is. But we don't know. And it's very hard to tell. It might not be Einstein's cosmological constant. Maybe it'll go away. If not, the fate of the universe is going to be pretty bleak. If the universe has accelerated expansion forever, in 100 billion years from now, you step out of your house at night, the sky will be pretty black. Aside from the Milky Way, which is held together by gravity, so that the distances between the stars don't grow, the other galaxies will recede and be traveling away from us with a relative velocity greater than the speed of light. So light from them will never arrive to us, and the sky will be black. Will that happen in 100 billion years? We don't know. And we certainly, therefore,